going to talk this week about recognizing and dealing with fourth round losers when you're playing a suit contract. Obviously, if you've got a small fourth card playing no trump, you can't rough it out, can you? So this pertains to fourth round losers at a suit contract. So I've got some examples here to show you. To start by explaining what a fourth round loser is. Let's say that the spade suit here is the trump suit on this first hand. Look at that diamond suit. Normally we wouldn't count a loser there because we count only ace, king, and queen when we're counting losers. But the fact of the matter, when you have only 7 cards between the two hands, is that the chances of that suit's breaking 3-3 are only 36%. That means that that fourth card in the suit, whether it is the 2 and it would, or the 6, may mean that someone who has a higher spot card and 4 cards in the suit is going to take that fourth round trick. And maybe that's a loser you can't afford. And even if you can't afford it, if you can get rid of it, that's an over trick. And at match points, over tricks are everything. Everything. This is one of the learning how to deal with these losers is one step that improving players can take that will improve your overall results if you can learn to recognize these when they come up and how to deal with them in a couple of different situations. Now, in this case, when you only have 3 small trumps in the dummy, you have to play the ace, king, and queen, and then try to roughen the dummy. After you have played off the ace and king of trumps, there's no need to take a finesse here. You're going to lose a trick to the queen or the jack 1 or the 10. I mean, when you're missing the queen, jack, and 10 and you have 5 of them outstanding, there's no chance that you are going to get out with no losers in that trump suit. So the only chance you have is to play off 3 rounds of diamonds and hope everybody follows, and that if you have to trump that little diamond, that the person who has the long trump also has, maybe he chooses not to trump, in other words. So this is the only way around that diamond loser, is to play off the ace, king, and queen. And you are worried the whole time that someone's going to rough. If they're 4-2, someone may rough the 3rd round and you've lost a trick that you didn't have to lose. But here's another example. That south hand is one that you're probably never going to see. It is absolutely the best hand I've ever seen, certainly, and I made it up to be that way. I mean, I wanted to have an example of an incredibly strong hand to show you that even strong hands can have a problem. And of course, the dummy is ridiculously weak, but I did that to make a point as well. There is no way that declarer can ever get to the dummy to try to do anything. But notice he has no finessing position anyway. So he doesn't have to get to the dummy. The problem is that he's got that little heart right there. Now, the contract is 6 spades. He's going to lose at least 1 trump trick, and that assumes that the outstanding cards break 3-2. If they break 4-1, he may lose 2 trump tricks, but there's nothing that's going to keep me out of 6 spades if I have a hand like this. I mean, my partner rates to have something, but, you know, making that assumption, well, you know what they say about that word, assume. So in this case, I'm going to be in 6 spades all day long. I have a problem. I have a sure trump loser, and I have a potential 4th round heart loser. What am I going to do? Well, why do I not just lead out the top trumps and then lead a little one and give East his trick? Because the odds that the hearts will break 3-3 are not in my favor. I want to give myself the best chance to make this contract because I'll never have a hand like this again. I want to make the most of it. It would be horrible to get a hand like this and not be able to make your bid. So the thing is, though, that this contract is absolutely ice cold. The secret is to lead 2 rounds of trumps. They break 3-2. Yay, I have only one trump loser. And then you can just start playing out on hearts or one of your other side suits. It doesn't really matter. You have ace, king, doubleton in each. But you're worried about that heart loser. And notice, West is holding 4 hearts to the jack 10. If you rely on the hearts breaking 3-3, then you're going down on this hand. And if that were the case, I wouldn't have put it in this lesson anyway. This is a lesson hand. It's designed to show you that relying on breaks like that often is not a good policy. All you have to do is just start leading your hearts. East can rough in on the 3rd one if he wants to. That was a trick you were going to lose anyway. But you still have that little trump in the dummy to rough this little bitty heart. So the secret here is to leave the master trump outstanding and then just start playing off your winners. East can rough if he wants to, but it doesn't matter. If he roughs, then he can't draw that last trump from the dummy. There's no way he's going to get the lead. You've got the other suits locked up. He's not going to get a lead in a side suit to be able to draw that last trump on this hand. But if you lead a small trump to get that queen out, you're going down, because leading 3 rounds of trumps takes all the trumps out of the dummy. It's really hard to rough a trick in the dummy if there aren't any trumps there, right? So what ends up happening is that you have telescoped 2 potential losers into only one. And that's the way you need to think about playing these types of situations. Now, obviously, you're not always going to have total control of the side suits like this. So we need to discuss some more examples. What if the declarer's hand is not as strong as the one that I just showed you? Well, what declarer then has to figure out is whether he needs to drive out a stopper. Say he has a 1st round loser and a 4th round loser, as with this heart suit here that's in declarer's hand. Notice he doesn't have 1st round control. Once again, we've got that same dummy. Declarer's hand, though, is nowhere nearly as nice. We have a certain loser in diamonds. We certainly have at least one trump loser. And we have the ace of hearts as a loser. But what about that little tiny heart that's in his hand? Okay, normally what people will do, and that's because teachers teach bridge students, that unless there's a compelling reason to do something else first, draw the trumps. So normally people will start drawing the trumps and they'll get all the trumps out and then they'll drive out the ace of hearts. Well, let's say that you've seen that firsthand as an example and you remember how we talked about it. And you think, okay, I think I'm supposed to leave the master trump outstanding here. So now I'm going to drive out the heart ace so that I can cash some winners. Well, here's the problem. If the player who holds that heart ace also holds the master trump, if he's half smart, when he plays that ace, he's going to put that master trump on the table and take your little trump out of the dummy. Rats. That's what a smart defender does. If he's got the master trump and he can take 2 trumps from the declarer, that's exactly what he will do. So in this case, this is one of the exceptions to drawing trumps first. Obviously, if you need to rough a loser in the dummy first, then you delay drawing trumps. Here's another example. What if you drive out the ace of hearts before you start working on spades? What if you do that? In this case, West will win that ace of hearts, and then he'll take another diamond trick. Well, you're going to have to rough it, right? But then you can draw 2 rounds of trumps and your heart suit is set up. You can play off your remaining heart winners. If West elects to trump with that master trump, we don't care, because we've still got a small trump left in the dummy to take care of that little 6 of hearts. Note that it's not an honor that threatens your contract. It's spot cards. When you have a problem, it's usually because you have a small spot card. And that's exactly what exists here. So notice, if you draw 2 rounds of trumps first and then drive out the heart ace, West is in a position to draw that last trump out of the dummy. Rats. I took so much care just to leave that outstanding trump out there, only to have him get in and take my little trump off the dummy. I had plans for that trump, dadgummit. Well, if you have control of your side suit already established, then you don't have that worry, do you? The answer here on this hand is rough the second diamond, drive out the ace of hearts. You'll get a diamond back. Rough it. Then draw 2 rounds of spades and start playing off your heart winners. It makes no difference when he decides to rough, because you still have a small trump left in the dummy. Yay! That was the whole point. That's the secret to making this contract. Sometimes the honors in the side suit, though, are not quite as nice. Maybe they're divided between 2 hands, like king, queen, and 2 small facing jack and 2 small. Same situation applies. Or ace, king, XX facing queen, XX, like we had on that first hand. The same thing applies, whether all the honors are in one hand or whether they're split. Now, there's one exception, though. When you have king, queen, and 2 small opposite jack, 10 small, you have no 4th round loser, because dummy has the jack and 10. So when you have all of the honors except for that top one, then you can start drawing your trumps before you force out the side suit, because you don't need to rough. That's the difference. It depends on what your cards are in the dummy. If there's a lone honor and 2 small that fits nicely with your holding, then you have a potential 4th round loser. Remember, you have 4 cards in the declarer's hand, 3 cards in the dummy. If you have touching honors in the dummy so that you have no 4th round loser, you don't have to worry about driving out that hot card first. Now, here's another situation that is similar, but slightly different. We have high honors in declarer's hand in diamonds, but this is really, really similar to needing to drive out the top card in the suit. Maybe it's not the absolutely top card. Maybe it's one of the lower ranking honors. So in this case, before you start drawing trumps, take the diamond finesse first. Here you have a potential 4th round loser in diamonds. Notice there's no 10 or anything in the dummy to help you. You have ace, queen, jack small and 3 small in the dummy. So before you start drawing trumps, you need to get to the board, take the diamond finesse. If it loses, that's okay, because you have not established the trump queen yet. You still have control of the trump suit. No defender who's holding a high card, the master card in the trump suit, can take that 3rd trump out of the dummy. In this case, once again, we're going to lose at least 1 trump trick, and that assumes a 3-2 division. But remember, that's a 62% chance. But that doesn't mean that sometimes you don't get a 4-1 trump division. If you get a 4-1 trump division, then you have to have the diamond finesse here pretty obviously. But you want to set up this side suit before you give the defender an opportunity to remove that third trump from the dummy, because you have plans for that trump. It's got to take care of that little 5 of diamonds for you. Now, suppose the diamonds divide 3-3 for you. You haven't lost anything by trying to do this. In fact, you have secured your contract. It costs you nothing except changing the order of play just a little bit. But it makes all the difference in the world if you can do that. I've shown you 3 possible ways to play this hand. The contract is 4 spades, and of course, West leads the king of clubs. And you see that beautiful dummy there. Once again, Declarer has the World's Fair, and dummy has a total bust. The first option is to play off the ace and king of spades, and then play 3 rounds of hearts, preparing to ruff the small heart in the dummy. Well, West takes the 3rd heart and then plays the master trump, and there goes that little trump in the dummy. All of a sudden, I have a club loser, and I have 2 heart losers, and I have a trump loser, down 1. Dadgummit, why does this happen? I've got 23 high card points, by golly. I should be able to make this. Well, how about starting with the ace and king of hearts? Then play the 3rd round of hearts before pulling trumps. West wins the trick and knows his partner is void. This is, after all, he's won the 3rd round with the queen, and he sees his partner play off. So he plays a 4th round of hearts, thinking, well, hey, I've got 4, the dummy had 3, my partner started with only 2. That means Declarer started with 4 hearts. West is a guy who can count to 13. So he says, I know Declarer can't ruff this last heart. Hopefully my partner can over-ruff the dummy. And sure enough, that's what East does. He ruffs with the 9 or the jack, doesn't matter which one. Down 1 again. Well, rats, that didn't work either. Well, Susan, isn't that what you told us to do? Well, there's a 3rd possibility here. When you don't have 3rd round control in the side suit, and you have a 3rd and potential 4th round loser, the secret is that increasingly rare species here. The 1st round duck. What if you duck a heart first? Can East ruff a heart return? No, he's not void in hearts. Can West cash his master trump? No, because it hasn't been set up yet. What's he going to do? Duck a heart, ruff the club return. I mean, just because the defenders got the first club trick, you can't afford to let them have more than one. So you're going to ruff that club continuation. Now you draw 2 rounds of trumps, leaving the master trump outstanding. That's okay. Now Declarer just plays off his hearts. He plays the ace and king of hearts. He still has a trump left in the dummy for that 6. Remember, he ducked a round of hearts. Oh, I've got 2 4s of heart, 2 heart 4s in this hand. Sorry, guys. I'm missing the 5, I think. Anyway, he will play off that 3rd heart, which is a low one. Remember, he ducked a heart first, so a low heart's gone. He then, after he's drawn 2 rounds of trumps, plays off the ace and king of hearts, and he has only the 6 left. When he leads it West, he's helpless. He has to follow suit. So a small trump, that small trump that's still left in the dummy, takes care of that fourth round loser. You drew 2 rounds of trumps, so East doesn't have a trump left. But even if he were the one with the master trump, it doesn't matter because you have just telescoped 2 losers into one. You changed the small heart loser and the trump loser into one loser if a defender overruffs with the master trump. Yay! It's like magic, isn't it? Sometimes you duck a trick first, and that's when you don't have third round control. Duck first when you have no high trump in the dummy. I'm going to show you how to play when you have a high trump in the dummy here in just a minute. But when you have no high trump in the dummy, these are tiny little cards here, tiny little cards. And you're never getting to the dummy with this hand either, just like on that first one I showed you. So when you lack third round control in a side suit, duck around first. When you need to set up a side suit because you lack first round control and you have a fourth round loser, do that before you draw trumps. Now, sometimes we don't get a good trump suit. You know, no declarer likes to play a hand that has a trump suit that looks like this spade suit here, both of these examples. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I hope I can hold it to 2 trump losers. But if one defender has all 3 of the high honors and has a 4th card, I'm losing 3 trump tricks. Oh, well, it is what it is. So what am I going to do? Now, I've heard lots of people say, oh, I couldn't draw trumps. My trumps were too weak. Nah. All you're doing when you take that attitude is allow the defenders to take their trumps individually. That is no good. When you've got this situation, you still have to get the trumps out to keep the defenders from winning them individually. So what are we going to do? When I have a 5-3 split like this, I'm going to take the ace and play another spade. If they divide 3-2, as they will most of the time, you're going to have one trump left outstanding. You have lost 1 trick in the trump suit to a high honor, and you leave the one that's left outstanding. So you're going to have 2 trump losers, but you knew that when you started. You're just trying to avoid a 3rd trump loser. So if you were going to do that, if you have to rough a 4th round loser, you duck a round of trumps first. The problem is here in this situation, if you have a 4th round loser in a side suit in your hand, you want to leave a trump in the dummy, right? Well, if you play the ace first and then a small one, East will win, and he'll look at that dummy and say, give me that other one, and put that high honor on the table, and there goes your trumping a 4th round loser in the dummy. You cannot let him have a chance to pull that 3rd trump out of the dummy. So the secret, once again, is the first round duck. Duck the first round of trumps. East will win. He can return a trump. Well, you were going to do that anyway. Tip your hat and say, thank you very much. You play the ace and leave the one he's got outstanding. It's really interesting the way the order of play makes a difference in the outcome, isn't it? You can leave the master trump outstanding and return to that side suit and trump a 4th round loser in the dummy if you have 3 cards in the dummy, because you still have the card there. If East overroughs, well, he's getting a trick he was always going to get. No impact. Now, the difference when you have a 4-4 trump suit rather than a 5-3 is a little bit different. if you have two losers to trump in the dummy, duck a trump, then play the ace, just like you were doing up here. After that, though, you've got to trump those two side suit losers. You cannot give East a chance to draw any trumps off the dummy. You absolutely cannot. You've got to leave him with the outstanding trump just sitting there. If you've got two losers in side suits to ruff, you can't do it with only one trump, guys. I wish it were true, but you can't. So, slightly different situation. When you have a 4-4 trump suit, you play it the same way. But if you have two side suit losers to ruff, stop after you have drawn 2 rounds of trumps. If East overruffs one of them, once again, that's a trick he was always getting anyway. And you still have a trump left in the dummy to take care of that other loser. And East is now out of trumps. No harm, no foul.
Susan.
Yes.
Sherry has a question.
Go right ahead, Sherry.
When you keep saying duck the first round, are we assuming that the defenders are leading trump?
No, you just lead a small trump and let them win it.
Okay.
Yeah, ducking has 2 possible meanings. Thank you, Sherry. Let's say you're holding an ace. When you're playing a no trump contract and you have ace third in your hand opposite 2 small in the dummy, very often you duck the first 2 rounds as declarer. That's one form of ducking. Or if you're a defender, you may hold up your ace until your partner's count signal tells you it's right to take it. Those first few rounds are called ducking as well, or holding up. When the declarer, though, leads a small card and he plays a small card from the dummy, that is also called ducking. You are ducking a trick to the defenders. Ducking basically means, when I say that declarer is going to duck, I mean he's going to lead small cards with the idea that he is not going to win the trick. He's doing it intentionally. So I'll go back here and let's see, let me flip back here. All right, is this far enough? Yes. Okay, here is the example that we talked about where declarer lacks 3rd round control in the side suit. So he has 2 potential losers in this suit. The idea here is to duck once early on before playing any trumps, is to duck a heart. He can lead one of these 2 small hearts. One of the defenders will win, it doesn't matter which one, and continue clubs. But when you have ducked around, now you can play the ace and king. All the hearts are gone out of the dummy. And so you have a trump left because you drew only 2 rounds of trump. After you duck the heart, draw 2 rounds of trumps. Then play the ace and king of hearts. If the person who holds the high trump trumps in, well, you were going to lose that trick anyway. But you still have a trump left in the dummy to take care of the one that's left. Remember, you gave up a trick first. You still lost the trick to the heart queen or jack or 10 or whatever. In this case, West will probably say, oh, hey, I can win that trick with the 7. Of course, he won't because his partner will have to play a higher card. So one small heart is gone. Then when you regain the lead, draw 2 rounds of trumps. Now you have ace, king, and a small heart. Play the ace and king. East shows out, but you drew 2 rounds of trumps, so he can't ruff. When you lead that last heart that's left in your hand, notice West still has a heart. He can't trump in. If he could, it wouldn't matter, because that would mean that the heart suit split 3-3, and this little card is a winner. If he trumps in, well, just discard something. from the dummy. But notice, this is the only loser you have left here. You have two potential losers in hearts, a trump loser. If you're lucky, you have only one, and you have a club loser. So you have to get rid of that fourth heart here. The way to do it when you lack third round control is to duck. That is, play a small heart first and just concede the trick to the defenders. This often works when you're trying to set up a long suit. If you have limited entries, say to the dummy, and that's where the long suit is, you can duck a trick first and then improve your chances of being able to run the suit in the dummy. It's the same sort of principle. It's another one. Here's slide 7. Here, when I say we're going to duck a round of trumps, that means I'm going to lead one of these low spades and play a low spade from the dummy and concede a trick to the opponents. Basically, another way to say you're going to duck a trick is to say you're going to concede a trick. I don't care who wins it. I just have to get the trumps out. I do not want to let the opponents make their trumps individually. I have to hope that they're divided 3-2, because if they're not, I'm liable to lose 3 tricks in the trump suit, and my contract is most likely hopeless in that case. But you know, we've all picked up hands where the trump suit looked like this. Sometimes we don't even have a single honor. We just have to lead them out and let the opponents take their tricks. But you have to get rid of the trumps, or they'll be trumping in on you all the time and making those trumps individually. That's not what you want to happen. You hope that their honors will crash on each other because you have length. They don't. So in either one of these cases, when I say you want to duck a trick, all I mean is I want to concede a trick to the opponents, play low cards out of my hand so that they have to win the trick. Now, when you have a high trump in the dummy and you want to rough a 4th round loser with it, the only question is who has 3rd round control. That's the only thing you need to think about. In this example on the left, the dummy has terrible cards, and the declarer has 3rd round control of the suit. But, you know, unless they break 3-3, you're not getting a trick with that lowly little 2. It just isn't happening unless they break 3-3. In the example on the right, you have only 1st and 2nd round control. On the left, we have 3rd round control. When you have 3rd round control, you play the same way that you do if you're planning to, with a low trump in the dummy. Draw 2 rounds of trumps and then play 3 rounds of the side suit, hoping that the defender with the long trump also has length in the side suit. But when you have a high trump in the dummy, it doesn't matter. Now, in the example on the right here, declarer lacks 3rd round control of the side suit. When you don't have 3rd round control of the side suit and you can trump high in the dummy, you don't have a problem. Now, what do I mean by that? I'm going to show you. Here we have a hand. Declarer lacks 3rd round control, but has a high trump in the dummy here. What's he going to do? Look at this heart suit. What's he going to do? After he wins the first trick, perforce here, and of course this lead sticks out like a sore thumb from West, so he leads the king of clubs, and declarer plays his singleton ace. Declarer draws 2 rounds of trumps only with the king and the queen. He does not take the ace out of the dummy. Now, we have a 3rd trump out there somewhere. All right? We're going to take care of that in a minute. After he draws 2 rounds of trumps using the king and queen, he plays off the ace and king of hearts and plays the third heart. He wins any return and trumps his fourth heart with the trump ace. The problem is if he ducks a heart first, notice the defender with the long trump is short in the side suit. If declarer ducks, you go down when you can trump with a high trump in the dummy. So the rule is when you have a high trump in the dummy, do not duck the first round. You cannot possibly be over trumped when you have the high trump in the dummy. But let's reverse these. Let's say I have ace, king, queen in my hand and jack third in the dummy. I can draw 2 rounds of trumps with the ace and king. I still have the jack over here and I still have the queen in my hand. It doesn't have to be the ace. It just has to be a high card that cannot be over-ruffed. So when you hold 7 cards in a side suit, you get a 3-3 break only 36% of the time. You have a 48% chance that they're going to break 4-2. That means that a small fourth card in a side suit is not likely to be a winner. You have only a 36% chance that it will be, and it needs to be a sufficiently high spot card. Notice you don't have any of the high spot cards in this heart suit on this hand. It looks like you have 2 heart losers. You can afford only 1. So the answer is not to draw 3 rounds of trumps. Draw 2 rounds. Play off the ace and king of hearts, concede a heart to one of the defenders, and then you're in like Flynn. Now, when the dummy has a high trump, you don't duck. When the dummy has a high trump, like in this situation, you do not duck a trick. When the dummy has only low trumps, duck a trick in the side suit first. In other words, concede a trick first. But when you have the high trump in the dummy, you don't have to do that. Now, I've devised 2 play problems here for you for your consideration. Here are the hands, the bidding. West has the big hand this time. Notice, East has a total bust. Let's talk about the bidding for a minute. West certainly has a 2 club opener here. East bids 2 diamonds. Unless you use the 2 hearts negative, 2 diamonds is the bid here. But notice, West has a decent heart suit here. If East happens to have 4 hearts, the final contract may end up being hearts played by East if you use the 2 hearts negative bid. So in this case, I'm showing that East bids 2 diamonds, saying, okay, you've got a big hand. It's unfortunate that it's wasted opposite this, but you know, it is what it is. So he bids 2 diamonds. West bids 2 spades. He's got a 5-card spade suit. And now East says, 3 clubs, second negative. Second negative. Now, you're not exactly sure what partner has. I generally flash the second negative, even if I have support for my partner's suit. So I'm showing East giving 3 clubs. Remember, it's the cheaper minor. When you have no ace, no king, and not even 2 queens in your hand is when you use that second negative, saying, put it where you want it, partner. I have nothing over here. West says, well, okay, if you didn't like spades, maybe you like hearts. How about hearts? 3 hearts. No, spades, I'm taking a preference to 3 spades. This is all this is a preference. And West says, oh, well, okay, 4 spades. Now, how are you going to play this hand? You're missing the king, queen, jack, 10, and 9 and the trump suit. Yuck. You have a fourth round loser in hearts. And you have a loser in clubs. How should he do it? And of course, we all know what North's going to lead. I mean, if that doesn't stick out and isn't obvious to you, you need to review your opening leads, okay? Now, 4 spades. North leads the ace of clubs. The dummy hits the table and West goes, oh my Lord, what did I do to deserve that? What am I going to do here? I have a club loser. Looks like I probably have a heart loser too. And my only chance is to hold the spade losers to 2 and try to figure out something to do with that little heart. So what does he do? After he wins the ace of clubs, what's North going to do? He's going to continue with the jack. When you have a sequence, you play the top card, then the bottom card. That way your partner knows, hey, I have all the cards in between, partner. Well, okay, great, fabulous. That means you have 4, the dummy has 4, I have 4. We're not getting another club trick. Be that as it may, Wes is going to rough that second club, right?
Yes. I think you have to concede a trump loser.
Well, you want to duck a trump first, right? Yes. That's right. Somebody was paying attention here. You want to duck a trump or concede a trump trick. Now, one of the defenders may say, roughing the club return. Okay, ducks a trump. Then he's going to lead the ace of spades. That draws 2 rounds of trumps, leaves a master trump outstanding, and he is very relieved to see that both opponents follow to both rounds of trumps. He has drawn 2 rounds of trumps. He has roughed club in his hand. Now he starts leading hearts. There is a trump left in the dummy, right? Just play the top hearts. South has the master trump. If he roughs one of them, that's okay. He was always getting a trick with the king of trumps anyway. When he roughs the 3rd round, if he chooses to, there is still a trump left in the dummy to take care of that little 2. Notice, nice as that heart suit is, the outstanding hearts break 4-2, or this wouldn't be a lesson hand, right? He ducks a spade first, wins any return, plays the ace of spades. That's 2 rounds of trumps, leaving the master trump outstanding. Now he just starts playing those heart winners. Just starts playing heart winners everywhere. Ace, king, queen. If South roughs, okay. West can win any return because he still has a spade left. If South gets cute and leads another club, he can still rough in his hand. Lead that little 2 of hearts over to the 1 trump that's remaining in the dummy and claim the contract. Does everybody see how that works?
Would you just repeat that again?
Sure, you bet. Okay, opening lead is the ace of clubs. Everybody follows. The second lead is the jack. East follows, south follows, and west roughs low. His next step is to concede a spade. North may win it. You know, if he plays the jack or the 10, then South will play his 9. And then North will no doubt lead another club, which West will rough. Okay, now play the ace of spades. We have now drawn 2 rounds of trumps. North's other honor falls and South's queen falls. South still has the king of trumps left, but West is still in the game because the trumps have split 3-2. If they don't split 3-2, you're never making the bid, but everybody in the room should be there with you. The odds favor a 3-2 split, so that's what you need to have to make your contract, so you play as though that is the situation that exists. So after he draws a second round of trumps with the ace, he says, okay, now to go about cashing my winners. Ace of hearts, king of hearts, queen of hearts. If South roughs and plays another club, West still has a trump left. And East still has a trump left as well. West then leads the 2 of hearts and roughs with East's remaining spade. What he has left in his hand now are high diamond honors. That's 10 tricks. And he has the top 3 diamonds left. If he tries to draw all 3 rounds of trumps, hoping that the hearts break 3-3, he goes off. But if he remembers to draw only 2 rounds of trumps and leave the master trump outstanding, he will make the bid all day long. I see this kind of technique used in the open game on a very regular basis. This is the reason that a lot of open players make bids that limited players don't. They've learned some of these techniques that help you deal with situations like this. Does it take some effort? Yeah, it does. You have to review, and you have to make some mistakes. This game is all about making mistakes. And the winners are the people who make the fewest mistakes, right? So the more techniques you can learn for playing your hand, the better off you will be. In terms of your declarer play, you also have to work on bidding and defense and all that other stuff. But if you can learn how to handle situations like this when you have a 4th round loser, this happens fairly regularly. If you can learn how to recognize and handle them, you'll be miles ahead of the game. Better than you were before you learned it, for sure. Now then, here's the second one. This is a more common auction. North opens a spade, and Mr. East says, I've got a really nice club suit over here. I'm going to overcall 2 clubs here. And South says, I don't care. Now, we have a couple of choices here, guys. If you play Q bids as showing support, limit raise values or better for your partner's suit, then you can bid 3 clubs here. But if you don't use Q bids to show support, then 2 diamonds is certainly an appropriate call. Remember, this hand is too good for any number of spades. Whatever mechanism you use to force the bidding, whether it be a Q bid is a strange bid, and all strange bids are forcing, remember? Or if you bid a new suit as a responder who's an unpassed hand, then that's forcing for 1 round. So no matter which way you play it, either bid is forcing. So comes back around to North and says, well, with the 2 diamond bid, I'm not sure whether you have spade support or not, and I only have 5 of them. They are very nice spades, but I only have 5, and I have a 4-card heart suit, so I'm going to bid that. 2 hearts comes out next. He says, well, okay, my partner didn't bid. South says, no, spades are it. Spades are it, partner. He can either bid 4 spades or 3 spades, depending on your partnership agreements. Notice he jumped from 2 hearts to 3 spades. This says, I'm leaving you room. If your hand is good enough, I'm leaving you room to Q bid if you want to. But notice this is a jump raise here. This is not 2 spades. This is 3 spades. And North says, oh, no, I think game will be fine. Thank you. Now then, the opening lead is the king of clubs, obviously. Surprise, surprise. So, how many losers? You know what? I named the north hand the dummy. Obviously, that's the declarer's hand. Correct that on your copy of the slides if you haven't, and I'll correct it before I use this again. That is not the dummy. That is the declarer. The south hand is the dummy. How many losers does north have? He doesn't have any in spades, does he? He has at least 2 heart losers, maybe 3, depending. He has no losers in diamonds, and he has 2 losers in clubs. We have too many, don't we? Declarer calls for the club ace. Obviously, he doesn't want to risk. He can see 6 clubs between his hand and the dummy. And he knows that East has 5 or 6 at least. He doesn't want to duck the club and have West ruff the second one if he tries to play the ace then. So he calls for the ace. Then he plays off the diamond, ace, and king, discarding a club from his hand. Well, that's taken care of one of those losers, but he still has a club loser and he has 2 or 3 heart losers. What are we going to do here? What are we going to do?
Concede a heart.
Well, when you have a high trump and dummy, do you duck around first?
Oh.
You don't, do you? You do not. Remember, no ducking when you plan to trump with a high card in the dummy. The winning line here is to play the heart ace, give up a heart. You can win any return and give up another heart or duck another heart. You have now played the ace and ducked 2 rounds of hearts. Now you can ruff that last one with the queen of trumps. Nobody can over-ruff you. Nobody can over-ruff you. You still have a trump outstanding. In this case, you have 2 trumps outstanding, but that's okay because South has the queen of spades in his hand. It cannot be over-ruffed. That's the reason you don't duck around first. When you plan to trump with a high trump in the dummy, don't duck around first. You just have to make sure that the card that's in the dummy in the trump suit is high enough that it cannot be over-ruffed. If it can be over-ruffed, then you will duck around first. Does that make sense? If you don't remember anything else from this, remember that outstanding cards in a side suit, when you have 7 of them, will break 3-3 only 36% of the time. And when you plan to ruff with a high card in the dummy, don't duck around of the side suit first. You only duck around of the side suit first when you don't have a high trump in dummy. You draw enough trumps that you leave the outstanding high card out, then play off your winners and let the defender ruff in whenever he chooses. Maybe he chooses not to ruff that at all, or maybe he chooses to over-ruff that small trump in the dummy when you have ruffed your loser. Well, that's okay. That small card was a loser and the high trump was a loser. I have just changed 2 losers into 1. So I don't care when he ruffs. He either leaves my small trump in the dummy for me to use on that small card, or he converts 2 losers into 1 for me. It's almost like magic, isn't it? Telescoping 2 losers into 1. I love it when things come together, when a plan comes together. Of course, is this going to work all the time? No. Only the rule of 11 works all the time. But if you know this technique and you learn to use it, you'll be a better player than you were yesterday. And that's the whole object, right? So thanks for coming this morning.